Mr. David, you sold 22,000 your first week with us. How much will you deposit off that? What is your background and how did you get into this?
Awesome. So, yes, it was 22K, and my background. Well, when I was 14 years old, I had a mentor. So at 14 years old, I was reading books, and I was knocking door and talking to people at like local Walmart's, like Walmart's and stuff like that. Um, Basically, this mentor of mine when I was 14 years old, because my background, I'm from Honduras, so I moved to the United States. I was kind of lonely, like I didn't have much friends. So when my mentor brought me in, he basically gave me a new lens, and so I started viewing the world through it differently. So I was the only kid at school reading books while everybody was just jumping around, because they separated Hispanics from people, white guys, whatever. So we were sent out to a school with no teachers. There were only substitutes. So substitutes, they just sit there and you can do whatever you want. So it was kids throwing chairs, making a bunch of noise, listening to music, talking, and I was in a corner reading the books, developing my mind. From there, since I was still an immigrant. Uh, Later on, moved to Austin, lost my mentor, fell depressed, whatever. 2 years later, I gave my life to God. He, the key to my success is it belongs to God. Not because I'm good, not because like I'll learn all that, none of that. It's all because of God. Because now I move here, but it was a time where I was heading to church crying like God, like I need to get out of here, right? And now I'm here. But through that experience, gave my life back to God and basically lit up that fire that I once had. That fire that I desired to be more, to do more, to give more. That desire has lit up in me, and I was looking for opportunities. Met a guy that invited me to like an MLM company. There's nobody was really making money there. Basically, the business model is very old. It doesn't work anymore simply because there's better ways. But it's like, what's your name?
Weston.
All right, Weston, listen, I got this amazing opportunity, and you bring your family in. I'm going to teach you with your family, and I'm going to sell to your family, but I keep all the commission. Sounds fair?
No, not at all.
Well, that's how it works over there, right? And that's the motto. You bring people in, and you sell to the families. And obviously, I found out quickly that that wasn't the way to go. But that opened my eyes, because that was life insurance too, right? So that opened my eyes that if you sell a policy that can take you 35 minutes to an hour to explain to somebody, ask a couple of health questions, and make $1,000 to $2,000, I just kept asking myself, there just gotta be a better way. And I saw like a YouTube video of a guy like dialing leads, and I didn't even know what leads were at the time. Like, what's leads? But I told this guy, like, I told one of the person that I was working with, bro, there's like some people that have these leads, so like people fill out a form, like, and they want the life insurance, so you don't need to tell them about no opportunity. And like, nah, that doesn't work, bro. Like, so that was from there. But I got introduced to the life insurance business, and from there, I've been wanting to get into life insurance, but I didn't have my social, so I just couldn't do it until now.
So you physically couldn't do it. You couldn't sell any policies.
No, I mean, you remember it. Like,
Yeah.
I talked to you 3 months before working with you. I'm like, Weston, how can I do this? I don't have a social. Can my wife do it? And like, I help her? They're like, what do you tell me?
You said you can't do it. Your wife has to do it. You can't write in a fraudulent as someone else, right?
Yeah.
So what? I mean, you're 21 years old. I mean, were you in sales before this? Like, how did you get into life insurance specifically, and what really stuck out to you about the business?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So when I was out there recruiting, right, because I couldn't sell either life insurance, but my wife could. So I would just bring people in and have her do the applications, whatever. But I was out there recruiting at like Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, like talking to people. And it was just one time where I was like, I had talked to many and they just rejected me, getting punched in the face. To the point where I started like, should I talk to one more person? And the night before, one of the people that worked there, by the way, like at least the training that they have, at least for your mental, like they develop you, that's really good. And one of the conversations that he had there was like, because you simply don't want to open your mouth and talk to a stranger, your family still at a job, and that hurt me really bad because like my parents been complaining about their jobs, and I want to retire them. That was the whole reason why I did it. And so I get in my face kicked while talking to strangers, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, man, there's gotta be a better way. And went to my car, start crying like a baby. Like, what can I do? It sounds funny now, but it wasn't funny then.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny then because I quit. I'm an all-in guy. So when I tried that, I quit my job. I went all in. I don't do things half-assed. I go all in, right? And you can
You can tell.
You can already tell.
First week.
First week, right? So drop everything, and since I can't do this anymore, I got a job into high ticket sales, selling coaching programs. I did some decent money there, but basically it's like high volume. We had like 8,000 leads a day. So like 8,000 new people to call. So you can call all day. And that helped me so much because it broke some limiting beliefs that I had when I saw a woman selling at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning. And it wasn't like really small deals. Like she was charging $4,000, $5,000 up front to a person to lose weight.
Crazy.
And
they already know what to do.
yeah, not at all, right? But that helped me so much with, number one, breaking the belief system, like people don't pick up at this hour, or people like they don't buy on this time. So it's like, as long as you dial in the phone, you have somebody to call, somebody will pick up and somebody will buy from you. So all belief systems were broken. So when I came into this, right? But aside from that, I took so many calls. I have like a whole book where basically I started to notice the things that people say, right? Like, for example, when you're trying to convince somebody that they should pay $5,000 for a coaching program, but they came in, they saw an ad that they were thinking they were gonna take a magic pill to lose weight, but you unfortunately have to basically break that belief system. And then all these people has been overweight for like 10, 20 years, and you have to tell them that it's their fault because they blame everything but themselves. They're like, nah, my genetics, my
family,
hormones, my family, everything but themselves. So in 45-minute call, you have to basically dismantle all that and then boom, pitch a $4,000, $3,000 price.
Because you don't lead with the price.
Yeah, not at all.
Because they definitely wouldn't buy. You have to lead with value, driving home the pain point, making sure they understand like this is going to help them before they know the price.
And change their belief system. That's the hardest thing to do. So what did I do? I became so good at listening to subtle things that they will say. The moment they start blaming things, I started to slowly shape their mindset into, that's not it, right? So I would say something in the lines of like, people say, well, I try everything and I'm just not losing weight. Okay, well, what if you drop the calories? I already dropped the calories. Okay, so what happens if I put you in an island and I give you no food for 30 days? Oh, well, I will lose weight. Well, why is that? Oh, well, because, obviously don't have no food. Okay, so if you drop the calories even more, what will happen? Well, I will lose weight. So that means that you haven't dropped the calories, right? So then they're like, yeah, that makes sense. So you break that belief. You don't attack them directly. You simply make them realize, yeah, you're right. But all those little things, I will write them down, listening to them, and I have a whole book of all the little words that they will say, just so I can use them back into them and speak with the same language. And that sales background helped me a lot in here, and it's just so much better. Like here, it's not even about selling; it's about becoming an educator. Like people end up asking me, "Can I put more?" And I don't even have to sell them. They just ask me regular questions on how to do it.
Yeah, because they inquired about it in the first place. They want to learn more information, and that's your job, is not to sell them, to pressure them, and they didn't inquire about anything. Like door-to-door sales, people go knock on strangers' doors. They're like, oh, all the neighbors are on this. They say whatever they need to say to try and convince a stranger that never inquired about it in the first place.
Yep.
So in terms of the life insurance, I mean, you're going all in on this. You're spending all day. You're studying the script, the products, you're all in. Why did you choose this business?
Here's the thing, guys. There's no better opportunity in the United States right now better than life insurance. We have about 2 to 5 years when this is going to be like a gold rush mine where like people can get in and if they put in the work, they're gonna be millionaires within the next year or two. But the people that don't do it are gonna be left behind because everybody that's knocking doors right now, life insurance is looking sexy for them. They're like, knocking doors over, or I can just pick up the phone. So, I mean, a company already went bankrupt, right?
Yeah, the solar company,
And the number one, right?
the number one company.
Crazy. So all those
Hundreds
people,
of millions of dollars gone.
and how many people do they have?
Oh, thousands.
Thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
So we don't need much people to sell life insurance,
No.
Right? So if all those people come in here, they savages, they're already used to being in the hot weather, knocking doors, being rejected, being called the police or something like. It's much easier if they're just gonna pick up the phone. So when they transition to this business, it's gonna happen what happened to me. So people out there who has been aware that life insurance is a real thing, and you still thinking or doubting yourself, should I not? Like, is that money real? I'm telling you, bro, you don't got much time. It's just small window for people to become millionaires within the next 2 to 5 years.
And there's a wave of people that are coming over, people from solar companies, pest control companies, other businesses too. Like I came from real estate. I spent 3 years in that space, and it would take 3 to 6 months to close a deal, and I'd be waiting so long for that commission to hit.
Yeah.
And I would wait that long, and now I can sell a deal and get paid next day, or in the next 24 to 48 hours is when we get paid. We get paid 5 days a week instead of waiting months. And the cool thing about that is we get upfront commissions, we get back-end commissions if the client keeps it for 9 months. We get renewals on all those policies, and if you build a team, you get those 3 streams of income across your entire team, and you own your book with carriers that have been here for over 100 years. So that's another attraction to the business, is the ownership, and it's your business. Like I have an LLC. Most people have an LLC in this business if they really want to scale it. So what's your plan? I mean, you have big visions, goals. Obviously selling, improving yourself is step one. So what are the next steps for you?
So, next step is going to be this year to take you to 2 mil. Why? Because God has called me to be a servant, to serve others, not to serve myself, but to serve others. And there's this beautiful quote from Zig Ziglar. He said, "Help enough people get what they want, and you'll get everything you ever wanted." So if I help you, it just a rule. Like it's going to happen. And I'm not concerning about my well-being, but I'm concerning how can I make you, And I didn't even talk about this because I went on a tangent. But lesson about life insurance, it's like printing money from air, because it's simply electronic contract between the insurer and the carrier, and you're just the middleman. There's no physical product. Products are not. You don't get robbed on the products. Like you don't save them in your house and somebody can go into your house and steal them. You can literally start right away. It can be a solo business because you can make $100K a month by yourself alone. You don't need people to become a millionaire by yourself. Now, you're probably gonna have to work your ass off between 10 to 12 days. 12 to 10 hours a day, consistency, and becoming good, obviously. To make $100K a month, which will make you a millionaire. Right now, there's if you want to go to open a restaurant, you have to come out of pocket with $500,000 or $250,000, and then you're not gonna see any return in your money within the next 4 to 5 years. That's if the restaurant even becomes successful, because many of them fail and go bankrupt. So there's such a huge risk. And in the life insurance business, if you wanna go in all at once, all you need is 2K, 3K, which you can make doing Ubers for 15, 20 days, and you make that. And then if you're really bad, you just go back to your regular job. Your jobs are always gonna be there, but guess what won't be there? The opportunity that we currently have, where you touch a little bit of buttons and you make $2,000 from a 45 to an hour minute call. And you actually serving them, because what we're doing for people is another thing is we helping people, like we changing people's life. And we don't even realize such an impact that we have, but there's many lives that will then dramatically be changed simply because family doesn't have to struggle with the bills after passing away.
Yeah, because people inquire about it. Sometimes they don't have, or most often they don't have much in their 401k. They don't have much in their retirement account. Say they're 50, 60 years old. They don't have that much time to stock away $2-3 grand a month into a retirement account to grow to a few $100,000 to leave to their kids. Most of the time they have kids, and then the kids, if they don't have anything, they're going to come out of pocket for the funeral, which is like 10-15 grand, depending on the arrangements. And then they also are left with nothing. So there's no I love you money. They just pass away, and they not only deal with the hardship of losing a family member, but they also deal with the financial hardship of paying for stuff.
Yeah. And as I was saying about, like, you can serve a lot of people, right, by yourself and make 100K. But this is the only business where you don't hire employees, but you hire entrepreneurs. You know, that's powerful, because if you hire an entrepreneur, that means that the more he wins, the more I win. And he's not captive to, I'm gonna pay you this amount, and you can work as hard as you can, but you're not gonna get any more than that. But in this business, everybody has the opportunity to make as much money as they want to, according to its pace and time, that laws that basically have been created by God, right? So you only have a certain amount of time during the day. You can't work 24 hours, but within those 12 hours, you can make 100K plus.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even in my third month in the business, I got a slow start, but I never came from sales at all. My third month in the business, I profited about 25K. And that was 3 weeks before Christmas, and I took a week off during that time. It was crazy to me because I used to have to wait so long to get paid those kind of checks, and I didn't even get those kind of checks. And now they come in daily. Every single day I wake up, check my phone, it was $1 to $3 grand every day that I was in the field. So it's not like you get burnt out quick, because you get the deposits very quickly. And there is that nature of like bringing in sales reps. If I was to bring in a rep to real estate, you know, they'd have to wait 3 to 6 months, and they'd have to work a side job to the point where they need to pay for their bills, and because they'd have to wait so long. But here you can sell a policy, get paid. We have leads, you have a script that you use, and you don't even have to go through that much training. Like, talk about the training that you went through to learn the products.
Bro, as long as the people have the desire like you did, because, I mean, before I even get into that, you struggled for like 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't have like sales experience. You were more like a knowledge guy that understood businesses, understood equity and real estate, but you didn't have knowledge on how to sell to people.
Like psychology,
And understand people, which is one of the highest paying, I guess you call it, skills. Because once you understand people, you can literally get any job, any position, the better you become. But you struggle for 2 months. What kept you into the business, and if you ever thought about quitting?
I never thought about quitting because I saw the amounts of money that people were making, and I literally, they tell me they're making this kind of money, and then I'd ask to see each person's bank account. It's not like they just shove it in my face like, here's my bank account. But I'd ask them, and they would show me, and every day they were depositing 10, 15, 20 grand, sometimes 50 grand a day, like a day. And I'm like, if you can do that in the span of 5 years, and a lot of businesses, like I say these kinds of numbers, a lot of businesses say those numbers, but they have so many expenses, like e-commerce. Say e-commerce, you're buying all these products, you have a 20% margin, right? This business, if you're making 300-400K a month, which a lot of people are doing, you're spending probably 20 grand. You have an office, and you might buy some leads for agents, and you might have an Airbnb for your team here and there, for your top producers and gifts and things like that. But the margins are so high, so it's very profitable, and the insurance companies are never going away, and it's very profitable. That makes for a long-term business. So that's why I'm building in the space, and that's why we're gonna get to 2 million a month by the end of the year. We're getting a wave of people that are coming in the space, and it's very duplicatable with the scripts. I mean, I kid you not, the scripts are word for word, right?
Yeah, you say them every single time you get on a call, like, you say the same things over and over again, and there's a game on numbers. You talk to 10 people, and if you say those words exactly is there with the tonality, with the right tonality, out of those 10 people, you're gonna close 6 or 8, depending on how much you make them laugh.
Yeah, and typically, the people get in here and they try and do their own thing, and the scripts are there for a reason. Hundreds of reps use them, and they're successful. People always ask, like, Weston, what's the top advice for a new rep getting in this industry? And the top advice is to copy word for word what the top producers are doing. Listen to their calls, read the script multiple times a day to your voice memos. Like, you have a phone, just talk to it. Make sure your tonality matches what the top producer is doing, like the voice inflections and the questions and like the statements, like, higher voice here, lower voice here, and really connect with the client by building rapport in certain parts of the script. That's the main skill set to have. Is all the people have on the phone is your voice. So your tonality is key, your confidence is key, and if you can build that rapport with them on the phone, you're gonna get less objections at the end of the sale when you're trying to close. So what are some things that you do in your script and what you say on the phone to just get these kinds of sales? You get 22,000 your first week in the business, you'll deposit 12 to 15.
Yeah, so one of the things, guys, is never reinvent the wheel. If somebody's making money with one thing, like just do it. Like, this is not something that requires you to be physically active or for you to come from a background of powerlifting, tracking, or whatever. There's literally just your voice. That's it. That's all you need. So all you have to say is those words. Now, for me, I'm a little bit different because I spend thousands of hours talking to people, understanding the psychology behind it. So all I needed was the knowledge products, right? So I didn't want to. Once I read scripts, I learned all these skills. Once I acquired the skills, now I can really go into any space and crush it simply because I have the skills. So one of the reasons why I kind of make myself not use the script for like now is simply because I want to get to the point where I'm at the pool and I can close someone and I don't need to pull up the script, right?
Yeah.
That's where I wanted to get to, where like, oh, where's my script? Hold on, give me 1 second. That I don't want to do that. But when you're in the trenches and you have never sold anything in your life, you don't have sales experience, or if you did but you sucked at it, means that you probably gonna have to read a script because you don't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. So you trying to make a your own Frankenstein script, it's just not gonna work. You're trying to say your words, it's not gonna work because you don't understand psychology and human behavior. But if you do, like me, after like a lot of training, then you can. But the way that I learned the product very right away is, it's so simple, guys. You can become a millionaire in like a year here by simply just avoiding distractions. So most people, like, there's never been so easy to become a millionaire or make a lot of money than it is now. It's so easy, everybody can do it. But because it has become so much easy, there's also a lot of distractions. So you're being bombarded with news, with a lot of stuff that's happening in the world that won't change nothing about your life. So right now there's going to wars. Every time I got somebody telling me, bro, do you hear the wars? Like how everything's like the world's coming down. I'm like, bro, don't talk to me. Get out of here, because like none of that's gonna help me. It's not gonna pay my bills. Like I gotta pay rent the next month. I have no time to dwell into that. Those things have to happen and will happen, and me dwelling on them or hearing about them won't change anything. So one advice that I would give people is, it's as simple as delete all your apps, listen to the recorded calls, go on a walk for 2 to 3 hours, reading the script back and forth, and within 3 days, if you did all that I asked you to, you should be able to get on the phone and say the script word for word without even needing the script. You have it there, but you don't even need it because you memorize every single thing and you listen to the calls, and now you have the tonality ingrained in your brain, because for those 3 days to a week, all you thought about was life insurance. All you dream about was life insurance. And when you, how do you say it, when you like submerge into one thing, like the human brain has such amazing capabilities when you submerge a thing. That's how
Yeah.
my English is not perfect, but the way I learned English by simply talking to people when I couldn't, when people still made fun of me because of my accent. Not in a bad way, it was just simply funny, right? Like if you hear an Indian, it's funny because they just sound funny,
Yeah.
right? You're not mean, but they will laugh. But I would just like ask more questions and ask more questions and talk to them, and even though I said it wrong, and that's how I learned. I didn't want to read books or anything, which that would definitely help, but I didn't know that it will help. So I just did it. And when you do that, when you submerge into something, the learning curve that's gonna
It
take you like
clicks.
this, it just.
I mean, I went from 5,000 in submitted deals per week. You start with 22. You started way faster than I did. I started with 0 to like 2,000 a week to 3,000. It was like that consistently to 5,000 a week for a couple months, and I was profiting like $5,000 my second month. Like the whole month, I profited $5,000, and then something clicked. I started listening to calls, training with my upline, listening to the script. Literally hours before I go to bed, I'd fall asleep on listening to recorded calls from top producers and just going over it and going over it and going over it. And it just clicked one week. The next, I went from 5,000 submitted deals per week. Next week was 25,000. Next week was 27,000. Next week was 26,000. And then I started posting those numbers, and everyone wanted to start joining my team because I could train them now. To build a team in the space, you don't need the most credibility in the world, but you need to know how to sell a policy, right?
Of course.
If you're going to train people. People always ask, like, can I bring someone, like a buddy or two when I start out? The answer is yes, and then like your upline will train them. But if you want to build a massive business in the space, you have to master sales. We're not a recruiting organization, we're a sales organization first, because we get leads, we call them, we make sales, and we help families. So for you, David, you have big visions and goals for this space for the long term. Not even the long term, like the next couple of years, like few years. What are your short and long term goals?
Short term, next month hit 120. On board and get 25 people selling at least 20 plus K. Conquer the Spanish market. I'm going for the Spanish market because, I always thought that my Spanish was going to come in handy at some point, and it did. So now that I have that ability, I'm going to just conquer the Spanish market, and I'm also going to take over the English market, Like I'm not just going to stay in Spanish just because. I'm going to do both, because I have the ability to teach others either in English or Spanish. I can get on an English script right now and close deals.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't have to be in Spanish, but I take over Spanish simply because it's an untapped market, so I want to take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. Spanish market's underserved. If you're in the Spanish market and you can speak both languages, like go with Spanish. Like Spanish is untapped. English is really good. Like I've sold a lot of insurance. I'm very profitable in English. If you're Spanish, there might be less agents in that market. Not that English is like so like there are hundreds of millions of people, English people that are inquiring about insurance, and insurance is a huge space. That's the reality of it. Is like people, is this saturated? The answer is no, because there'll always be ups and downs in the market. There's wars going on. There's all these politics, and like everyone's worried about what's going to happen when I die. Like no one wants to think about it, but people die every single day. And say a daughter or a son, like their parent passes away, they don't have any life insurance. What does that make the son or daughter want to go do?
Powerful.
Makes them want to get life insurance so they can not do that for their kids. They want their kids to be safe. They want their kids to be financially well off when they weren't left something from their parents.
Cool.
So that's never going to stop happening with the companies that aren't even allowed to go out of business. They've been around for 100 plus years. That's
so powerful that, I kept throwing out little things about how great this business is, because we don't get affected by the weather, by wars. It can be a solo, it can make more than any other investment, and it's duplicatable, and you hire entrepreneurs. But lastly, when I first got into life insurance, when I got recruited for that MLM company, one of the things they asked me is, who is going to die? And my answer was, well, everybody.
Everybody.
Okay, so who needs life insurance?
Everybody.
Everybody. We're on a need-based product. People are always going to need life insurance, and everybody should have life insurance. And another key things that I have is, aside from having the skills, I also have conviction. Conviction is such a powerful thing, because when you have conviction about what you're doing, it doesn't even matter if you know the words, the right words or nothing, because that energy you can transfer. I'd rather have a bunch of guys that don't even know how to spell words correctly or pronounce them, but have conviction about what they're doing. Like, they have conviction that they can help people from like bringing into the business and the opportunity, but also conviction into the product that they're selling. Because, for example, myself, after I got to the MLM company, they made me get a life insurance, but I kept it 6 or 5 months after getting out of there. Why? Because I believe that it was a good thing. And I believe that my parents should have it, that my grandma should have it. I believe that everybody should have it. And so because of that conviction, whenever I get on the phone with a client and he tells me, I just don't think I need it, I don't buy into that. I don't be like, yeah, you're right, you probably don't. No, I'd be like, Michael, you just told me you have nothing going on for your family. You can barely afford this policy, but you can afford it. But if you die tomorrow, your family is literally gonna have to start a GoFundMe. They'll fail into like 80.
GoFundMe, yeah.
Yeah, they fail like 90% of the time.
It's actually embarrassing. Like, some people post they need like $5,000, like here and there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do? I don't let them off the hook. And my conviction to my voice is so high that like the person ends up saying, yeah, you're right. Which happened to a client, right? Remember, he gave me bank interjection and everything, and I'm hammering him. And Weston is just sitting there like listening to it, but he's not understanding nothing. He's like, what's going on?
Different
like,
language.
But he knew that I was hammering him. That's all he understood, that I was hammering him. And I got into identity shifting about he was like a father. And later he texted me like, I'm ready to do it. Why? Because I didn't let them off the hook, because he was trying to like tell me, I don't even think I need it. I didn't let that slide. Why? Because I believed in what I'm doing.
People say they don't need it, but usually there's a deeper problem. So for him, what was that problem?
I mean, he feel out of form. Like, that's why if you have conviction about what you do, they feel out of form means that they thought about it and they have a problem in their life that they need to fix, and they know that if they die, they either won't have enough or won't leave behind what they would like to leave to their kids, because they didn't have that and they struggle later on. So, I'm literally closing that deal over text. He's sending his bank account over text because he trusted me. Yeah.
Crazy. And that's where building rapport comes in, building value. Like, the client has to know why they're getting this. Like, what's the pain point? Drive home the pain, drive home what it's going to do for their kids. Like, what do the kids do for, like, there's so many different questions that you ask to dive deeper into the situation. And that's where a good salesman comes in, is like, the script is there for a purpose, but if you don't dig into their questions, and we teach you those questions to ask, then you're going to get a little higher chargebacks. Like, you have to figure out like why they need this, and then your policies are going to stick on the books 90+% of the time, because you're building that value in that, and you're making $1,000, $2,000, sometimes $3,000 per sale. It's crazy business.
Sure.
So, what are your plans, man? Next 6 months, we're going to grow this thing to 2 million, conquer the Spanish market.
Yeah.
And how can people get in contact with you? If they want to join your team, if they're like, I want to work with David. He's closed a lot of business on his personal plan. I want him to teach me how to do the same and get the same results. How can they reach you?
They can reach me to my Instagram or phone number, but obviously I'm not looking for employees again. I'm looking for entrepreneurs. If you come into this, you're going to be coachable, and you're going to have an abundant mindset. You're not going to be scarcity. If you still like kind of skeptical, I'd rather not have you text me. I'd rather just wait until you finally have that conviction and you're getting punched in the face by life because you don't have enough money to pay the bills, and you're like, I'm ready to do something with my life. But if that's the case, they can reach me to my phone number, 737-281-8495.
Awesome. We'll put that down below.
Take care, guys.